Cool. Okay. So I'm Ben, intramural intervention coordinator for the Student Rec Center, and we got Tommy Graham today.
Hey
He's
everyone.
a sorry, what's that, man?
Oh, hey everyone.
Tommy owns Whitewater Attainment. He is part owner of BV Mountain Adventures. He's a guide. He's an area instructor. Uh, just all around peachy dude. So thanks for being here today, Tommy. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Definitely. Should be
Yeah.
a fun time.
So I guess just starting off, can you tell us about like the different businesses you're involved in, like the ones that you own, the ones you guide for?
Yeah, so as far as it goes, I'm a owner of Whitewater Attainment, and there we teach whitewater kayaking and swiftwater rescue to recreationalists. And then we also have like a set of certification courses that we do through the American Canoe Association for river professionals and people becoming instructors and guides and stuff like that. So that's kind of what we do there. Had whitewater attainment going for about 3 years, and it's steadily grown a bit every year. This year was a little bit crazy with the whole virus thing, but still worked. So, and then BV Mountain Adventures is a company that I'm a co-owner of with a couple other folks, Chris Nicewarner and John McKinnon. And we started off primarily as a backcountry ski guiding operation, and then soon found that people kind of wanted to learn how to do the stuff on their own a little bit more. So we kind of got into the whole education side, teaching avalanche courses, wilderness medicine, mountain navigation, a whole bunch of other little things that we do there, as well as we still do guided backcountry skiing too. So yeah, that's kind of the down low of the businesses.
So it's cool you get to kind of combine in the winter you do BVMA primarily, I would imagine. Then in the summer you do whitewater attainment and just kind of shift those two
Yeah,
venues.
shift them around, and it's actually kind of crazy. The shoulder seasons have almost become like kind of busier where kind of the two businesses overlap. I never really expected that as a guide. But kind of running a few things for whitewater attainment and a few things for BVMA here in the fall, and kind of the same thing in the spring. So it actually is pretty good, decent kind of overlap, and kind of keeps the work coming in year round. So
Yeah. Does that get hectic during those shoulder seasons where you're trying to schedule out both experiences at the same time?
it does a bit for sure. I think the biggest thing I found with that challenge is really like kind of having my schedule dialed in. I think I had a few learning experiences off the bat where things didn't go very well or whatever and that type of thing. But yeah, just kind of really dialing in my schedule and making sure I have enough time to do both businesses and do a good job at it. So.
Yeah. Do you ever find there's like a weird juxtaposition going from like the BVMA to the whitewater attainment? Like if you're teaching if you're teaching a mountain navigation course one day and then a kayak course the next day, is that kind of a weird transition for you, or is that just sort of like a natural process to go
It, it's not terrible for sure. I think maybe it was a little bit weird, but I don't know. I think I've been teaching a lot of this stuff for almost like 10 years or so. So it's become easier for me to go back and forth between teaching things and a little bit less preparation and stuff like that. I feel like pretty dialed on the courses that I teach now, that I'm like, okay, this is the stuff I need. This is what we do. This is kind of where we do it. And then kind of go from there and tailor it to the students' needs and stuff like that as I get into it. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, not terrible, but it definitely was a learning curve kind of going back and forth for
Yeah.
sure. Mhm.
Can you tell me a little bit about what are your customers like for whitewater attainment versus your customers for BVMA? Like who do you attract for the education courses, for the guide components, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I would say customers in the recreational side of things are pretty similar in the both businesses, you know. For whitewater attainment, I get a lot of, you know, people signing up for swiftwater rescue courses that they got a raft and they're going to go rafting with their family and stuff like that. And, you know, they want to be safe, or, you know, they whitewater kayak with their friends, and a group of friends sign up for a course together. And that's kind of the same with BVMA and like the avalanche course world of things, for sure. You know, it's just recreationalists wanting to go out there and be safe. And at Whitewater Attainment, I do have the kind of professional development side of things too. I'm a trainer for the American Canoe Association, so we offer some more like professional level training and certification courses there. So that customer is, you know, going to be a guide or instructor, that type of thing. I think I see a lot of people that are kind of college age that are, you know, becoming a whitewater kayak instructor for a summer job, or a raft guide for a summer job, or whatever that may be. So, so that's kind of cool, as well as a decent amount of people that are kind of dedicated to being outdoor educators, and you know, just kind of adding on to their certifications and stuff like that too. So,
Yeah, just adding to the toolkit a little bit.
yeah, adding to the toolkit.
So
Definitely.
are a lot of your clients local? Would you say they're from Colorado? Are they from out of state? Like, do you have an idea of what the ratio is?
Yeah, so as far as the recreational side of things, I would say most of our customers are from Colorado. I don't know, occasionally we get a few people from the East Coast taking an avalanche course or something like that, and they're like, yeah, they don't really do that out there or whatever, so we're here. But you know, mostly Colorado, and some folks from the other Western states too, you know, Washington, Oregon, that type of thing. But I would say generally Colorado and from the Front Range.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
then
then the
what kind of, oh,
professional,
sorry, go ahead.
oh yeah, the professional courses, it's kind of all over the place. You know, those I travel a good bit. I like teach one in New Mexico every year, a kayak instructor course and a swiftwater rescue instructor course. I teach a few here in Colorado, and yeah, I get people from all over the United States. I've gotten people from other countries and stuff like that too. So those really vary. Yeah.
That's awesome. How how do you do the marketing for each one of your businesses? Like, what does that look like for you?
So my partner Ashley actually handles a lot of the marketing side of things. She's awesome, and I don't know if I have, you know, the full skill set to do all of the marketing stuff on my own, but every year we sit down with Ashley and kind of come up with a marketing plan of how we're going to get, you know, the program that we built off the ground, and how we're going to, you know, get all the information to people's hands and get them to sign up. So definitely learn quite a bit about the marketing side of things, getting into business and stuff like that. I don't know, as a small business owner, you kind of wear all of the different hats, you know.
Mm.
Wish I had money to pay a full-time marketing person so I didn't have to do any of it, but it's how it goes right now anyway. So
Yeah.
but it's really helpful to have a skilled person that can come up with a plan, and then just let me and my partners implement the plan as the season gets rolling. So
Yeah.
works out really good.
Good. So what would you
Mm.
say were some of the challenges in starting up these businesses? Have you always known, like, hey, I want to start like a backcountry and a whitewater business, or did it just kind of come about naturally because you kept getting work in those fields?
Yeah, it just kind of happened naturally. You know, BV Mountain Adventures, before I was an owner there. I worked there for a long time. I worked there for 2 years before becoming an owner. I've been an owner for 3 years now. We've been in business for about 5 years, and yeah, Chris, kind of the majority owner of BV Mountain Adventures, has been kind of a great mentor and stuff like that as far as business goes to me, and has kind of just allowed you know, me to figure things out, and you know, kind of turn the business into my thing and kind of John's thing as well along the way. So,
Great.
yeah. And as far as starting whitewater attainment, I worked as a whitewater kayak instructor for a long time, and ended up just kind of deciding like, I want a little bit more freedom and want to do my own thing, and kind of came up with a plan and made it happen over the past few years. So it's been a good thing for sure,
Yeah.
but a lot of work too.
Yeah. Did you run into any snags when you were kind of starting whitewater attainment? Like anything where like, oh crap, I gotta focus on this a lot more, or more of a challenge than you expected it would be?
Yeah, I would say some of the challenges, I guess, in both of the businesses, one was just getting adequate permitting to run courses. Working with land management agencies and stuff like that to do business on public lands is moderately difficult. And I don't know, they're public lands, but they will control what they can control and stuff like that. And people operating commercially on it, they control us a whole lot more than people just going out and recreating. So kind of figuring out a lot of the loopholes, working with the government and stuff like that on getting permits was definitely a bit of a hurdle for both of the companies. And it continues to be too, you know, there's things that we have to do every year to keep our permits going, and we have to reapply for them, and it'd be really bad if we didn't reapply for them, you know. So we'd be out of business for a season or whatever, which would be not so good. So that's a pretty hard calendar date when those are due.
Yeah.
And other things is, I think, the marketing side of things too. Just figuring that out and figuring out how to get people to know about us. So that definitely took a lot of work and was more of a challenge than I anticipated for sure at both companies.
Yeah. Do you
Mhm.
have physical locations for both companies? Like, is there an office front for BVMA and Whitewater Entertainment?
Yeah, it's actually upstairs of the Trailhead building
Nice.
in BV. Dave Blazer rents us a small office up there. So, and I don't know, I should be better about going in there and actually working. I work from my house a lot of times too. So, but yeah, BV Mountain Adventures, kind of all of our gear lives up in that office. Whitewater Attainment. I have like a cargo trailer. All the gear lives in there for it. But yeah, that's about all of physical location that we have. As far as like classroom space and stuff like that goes, we found renting it from either like the community center, or we're actually doing avalanche courses, our classroom part at the BV airport this year. It's a way bigger space and they have a really nice classroom. Thought it could be good because of the whole COVID thing. So yeah, but I think as far as the physical locations go, I'm not sure if we'll ever, like, you know, purchase a location or, you know, rent a place permanently or whatever. Just because there's not a ton of money to be made in the outdoor industry, I think too, running a small guide operation or kayak school. So keeping your overhead down is actually a big thing, and just renting a space when we need it works out really good.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Seems like it kind of affords you the opportunity to be a little bit more nimble with your business too. You know, like you can kind of flex and adapt depending on what you need at any given time.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. And yeah, like when the whole COVID thing hit, I think we canceled like two courses or whatever. We're like, okay, not a big deal. We're just going to cancel our you know, reservation at the classroom spaces, and you know, it was a bummer to cancel it, but we didn't take a big hit as far as a bunch of overhead and having to pay a mortgage or having to pay rent or whatever. So
Yeah.
works out good in that respect. So yeah, definitely good to be flexible.
So with COVID, what were some of the other adaptations y'all had to make this summer? And then what are you going to be switching up for winter for BVMA?
Yeah, so this summer, it was just kind of late to start. So usually whitewater attainment, I kind of get things going in like April and then really in May. So we basically kind of just took those 2 months off, and um, went into it kind of in mid-June is when we started with whitewater attainment. And Other than that, things didn't change a ton. We ran lower numbers of people in the courses, and we had like a kind of screening procedure to like get into the course. We take people's temperature, ask them some questions about, you know, what's going on, and then just had a good kind of open discussion with people throughout the course about, you know, comfort levels on certain activities, and, you know, tried to pair people that came with each other and stuff together. And classroom space for whitewater attainment is just outdoors. We either set up a easy up or something like that. So felt pretty comfortable operating in that environment. But as far as BVMA goes, we're planning on trying to offer ARI courses how we normally did, but we're keeping an eye out, and we kind of have a protocol written up with you know, green light, yellow light, red light as far as it goes, and different things that we're going to do there, you know. But if there's a certain amount of cases that per 1,000 people or whatever, I think is what we're going off of, the state's guidelines basically. Then we'll decide like which type of situation we're operating in. So green would be kind of as normal. Yellow would be shortened classroom periods, mostly spent out time, some more online components and stuff like that for the course instead. And then the red would be we're doing all online classroom stuff, and then likely going to just meet in the field and do outside stuff in small groups. So that's the plan. We're still kind of working through it. We got a bit of time, but yeah, it's tricky because I think no one really knows. So high level of uncertainty.
Oh yeah.
So, mm-hmm.
So have any of the organizations that you certify people through, have they offered you any guidance on running courses and instruction, and like coupled those with state guidance?
Yeah, so the American Canoe Association actually wrote up some really good guidelines. I think the biggest risk with the COVID thing was driving shuttle and having people in a car together. So we tried to get people to drive, you know, their own cars and stuff like that, and minimize the amount of people in a shuttle vehicle and stuff like that. Those were things that the ACA came out with us for us. And then ARI is actually doing a really good job. I actually have a webinar on Monday with them to kind of go through what we're thinking about doing as providers this season and stuff like that. And
Nice.
should have maybe some more answers by then, maybe not, I don't know.
Nobody knows.
No one knows. Just go as we go. And yeah, I think coming out with some kind of online resources and stuff like that is going to be huge over the next few months for our ARI courses, just to make sure like we can still cover the classroom component and meet students out in the field if we have to. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned you teach wilderness medicine too.
Yeah.
Have you been teaching through COVID and that, and how has that changed?
So I've had a couple wilderness first aid courses this spring, and we actually ended up canceling them just because just the nature of the course. I really don't feel like you could put on a very good wilderness first aid course and stay 6 feet apart from each other and things of that nature. So, kind of the places that we work with as far as that goes, the American Red Cross as well as Solo, they kind of came out and said like, hey, I don't think we can offer quality courses for a while. Let's wait and see what happens. Now things are kind of opening back up. I know BV Mountain Adventures, we're doing a wilderness first responder recertification next weekend. And myself and Sarah, who are teaching the course, kind of have a plan of, you know, what to do. And we got a really big classroom space. We're going to try and do most of the stuff outside and whatnot. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
So.
Sounds like it. I kind of wondered if they would move more towards like a hybrid model for all the organizations, and then have people, you know, instead of doing a splint on another person in the class, maybe doing a splint on like I don't know, some sort of version of a Red Cross dummy or
Yeah, totally.
like some baloney stuffed in a pantyhose or something like that.
Yeah.
For wound care.
Why not? Totally.
Sure.
Heck yeah. Yeah, so I think, yeah, we're just going to have to continue adapting and hopefully we're not dealing with this for that much longer. We'll see what happens though. I have no
Yeah, I
idea.
hope so. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about you. How can you talk a little bit about your background and kind of how you got to this position? Some of the jobs that you had leading up to these ones.
Yeah, so I've I kind of grew up in a family that really liked doing outdoor things. I started off like canoeing at a pretty young age. I got into whitewater kayaking when I was like 16 or 17, something like that. So I was exposed to a lot of this stuff as I was younger. Um, and then went to college. I actually have part of an engineering degree, never finished it up. I have an associate's degree in heating and air conditioning technology. So actually, I tell people it was my past life. I used to repair furnaces and air conditioners and stuff like that. And that was a really good paying job and stuff. But I don't know, just wasn't exciting. I was still pretty young when I was working in the field, and just like, I think I want to do something different. So I got a job as a kayak instructor. Really enjoyed that, and then I ended up moving out to Colorado, and just kind of ended up staying. That was like I think 10 or 12 years ago, something like that now. So, and just kind of one thing led to another. I worked retail for a while. At a ski and bike shop back in Wisconsin. And then I worked at the Trailhead with you actually, a
Yeah.
long time ago. So yeah, kind of retail filled in the gaps and stuff like that. And I've done construction work for a long time too, with the heating and air conditioning thing. And my dad did a lot of carpentry work, so I learned a lot of those skills. So kind of piece things together, doing construction work and stuff like that while I was, going through different certifications and becoming a better guide,
Yeah.
figuring that whole thing out. So, yeah.
So what kind of certifications do you hold currently?
Um, so I'm a wilderness first responder. That's kind of a required one for sure. It's kind
Mhm.
of your baseline for medical training as a guide. And I'm a ARI course leader. So that took quite a bit to get to that. I took my Pro 1 and Pro 2 avalanche courses and then, some instructor training courses. And then I'm an instructor trainer for the American Canoe Association in the whitewater kayaking and safety and rescue disciplines. So those are kind of the main things for sure. And then I'm a wilderness first aid instructor currently. I'm working on becoming a wilderness first responder instructor. That's becoming a longer and longer path as it goes, but
Mhm.
so
Yeah. Speaking of the timeline, what did the timeline look like for you to be like to go from getting into backcountry skiing to be in an ARI course lead, and then same thing for ACA.
yeah, so as far as the snow side of things, I started backcountry skiing probably about 12 years ago. And then kind of started the whole ARI instructor training path and professional avalanche courses probably about 6 years ago, something like that. So it took about 6 years to kind of get through all that stuff and getting
Nice.
experience along the way. And then as far as it goes in the kayaking world, I don't know, like I said, I've been kayaking since I was 16, so that's like 20 years or whatever. And, just kind of learning as I went. And once I was a proficient kayaker, I became a ACA certified instructor. That was about 10 years ago. And then about, 6 or 7 years ago, I became an instructor trainer. So that took probably like 2 years of training to become an instructor trainer for them. So, mhm.
Great. So what does continuing education look like for you in your where you're at with your certifications, where you're at with your businesses?
Yeah. So as far as continuing education goes, I think biggest thing is like kind of tracking it and making sure like none of your stuff is going to expire because I've done that before. And like I've let my woofer expire and I'm like, oh shoot, I got to go back and do the whole thing now or whatever. So That's not much fun. So really keeping track of that stuff is huge. And then each of the organizations like the ACA and ARI that I work with require me to do a certain amount of continuing education for the ACA, it's every 3 years. You have to do at least like one type of update in the discipline that you're working in. And then ARI actually requires us to do a continuing education type of thing every season. So whether it's going to the Colorado Snow and Avalanche Workshop or the International Snow Science Workshop or something like that, or participating in some of the trainings that they offer, they want us to do one per year, which I think is actually pretty good. So yeah, and this year it's all web-based, so you can drink coffee and do your laundry or whatever while you're doing it. So
Yeah, I mean, we're pajamas the whole time.
yeah.
Have the office on in the background.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So cool. So I mean, obviously Red Rocks has a lot of students who are in the outdoor education track, and a lot of them want to be guides and potentially someday own their own guide company. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about what that takes, just sort of the mentality and things they can expect in that process?
Yeah, totally. I would say first thing is try to become a really competent guide, before starting your business and stuff like that. Because, guiding has its challenges. And if you can have that part dialed in, that's just gonna help you out a whole lot more for sure. And I think biggest thing I've learned from guiding is we're all gonna make some mistakes. So take it easy as you get going, as you're a less experienced guide, and kind of ease your way into it. Don't do too much, or don't bite off too much and get yourself into a hairy situation with clients. That's not fun. And just learn from your mistakes too, I think, is one of the biggest thing. Kind of experience is the best teacher, I would say. So yeah.
For students like pursuing their first guide job,
Yeah.
what advice would you have for them?
I would say do a lot of listening for sure. Try and find who are the most experienced people there, and even if you might not be getting paid or whatever, see if you can shadow them for a day or something like that. Learn from the people that you're working with, and try and prioritize that, because there's a lot of really good people in the field. I've been lucky enough to have people like John McKinnon, and like Kent Ford and stuff like that as mentors to me, both Kent in the kayaking world and John in the ski world. And yeah, I've learned so much from both of those guys, and don't really think I would be where I'm at today without the mentorship for sure. So yeah, definitely show up and do a lot of listening, and try and be as humble as you can for sure too.
Yeah.
So
I kind of, oh, sorry.
No, it goes a long way.
Yeah. And, talking about learning from mistakes, is there anything in your professional journey that you would do differently?
I think the biggest thing, I wish I actually started it sooner, truthfully. I don't know, growing up in Wisconsin, I didn't know about like being able to go to school and get like a outdoor recreation type of degree or anything like that, So yeah, I think starting it sooner definitely would have been an awesome thing. And trying to think of anything else. I think a few things, as far as like certifications go and stuff like that. I was like super gung ho and just wanting to get done, and like maybe didn't fully see the path involved with it too. Like, oh, there's like a few years in between here for a reason, that type of thing. So gain experience along the way too. So.
Cool. So if you had to look into a crystal ball, what does the outdoor guiding industry look like in 10 years? And then what kind of changes have you seen just since you've been involved?
Yeah, I've definitely seen kind of a steady growth in the whitewater world. And I don't know. I think in that realm of things, I used to teach a lot of whitewater kayaking, and then I would just teach swiftwater rescue to whitewater kayakers. But now a lot of those, whitewater kayakers have got families and kids, and they're buying rafts and stuff like that. So, that's a little bit newer demographic that I've been actually seeing, taking our swiftwater rescue courses. Are these, people going on family float trips on the weekend with the raft or whatever. So, kind of tailoring what I teach to the needs of that. And as far as the snow world goes, people seem to really like backcountry skiing. It's becoming more and more popular every year. I think it's one of the biggest growing winter sports at the moment. So we continue to add a few avalanche courses every year, and they continue to fill up. So kind of got to figure out, where that maximum and stuff like that is going to be, or, if we can just have a avalanche course every weekend and that'll be okay or whatever. I don't know. So we'll see, but it seems to steadily grow. And from what we know from ARI, that look at a lot of demographic information and stuff too, they're saying that they don't really see it plateauing. They see it continuing to grow as well too. So
Wow.
especially this year with not as much access to ski areas and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I think a lot of people are reluctant to ride gondolas and ski lifts.
totally.
I don't blame them.
Yeah. You don't want to ride in there with someone sneezing. It'd be
No,
real bad.
sounds miserable. Cool. Well, I think that's most of the questions I have.
Sweet.
So before we wrap up, is there anything else you wanted to add or 2 cents to throw in?
Oh man, no, I don't think so. I think if you're getting into the guiding world, just make sure you still have fun doing it too. It's really easy to like turn it into a job, and I've definitely like gotten burnt out teaching kayaking and teaching avalanche courses. And I don't know, if you show up with a little bit different attitude, like, oh, I get to go skiing with people today or something like that. And I really like skiing. It definitely helps out for sure. So, but yeah, make it fun.
Awesome. Good advice. Tommy, thank you.
Yeah, totally,
Appreciate it,
man.
man.
Yeah, good seeing you for sure. Let's ski sometime this winter.
That sounds awesome. I'd
Yeah,
love to
or
do
if
that.
you're in BV, hit me up.
I'm in BB a lot, so
Sounds
cool.
good. Miss you this
I'll
weekend,
stop.
but yeah.
I'll stop recording, and I'd actually like to ask you a couple questions offline.
Oh, yeah, sounds
So
good.
off the
Definitely.
record. So
Off the record.
cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah.